We wake up with it, set our clocks by it, and even harness its energy to power our cities. But in the ancient world, the sun was far more than just a source of light. It was a god, a timekeeper, and the force that shaped entire civilizations. Rulers claimed their right to rule from it. Farmers depended on it to survive, and architects designed their greatest monuments in alignment with its path. Some of these ancient solar alignments are so precise that even modern engineers struggle to understand how they were achieved. Take Teotihuacán, a city built over 2,000 years ago in Mexico. Its main avenue and temples are aligned so perfectly with the sun that twice a year, the rising sun aligns exactly with its central axis. How did its builders accomplish such astronomical precision? And was this an isolated case? Or did ancient civilizations around the world share knowledge of solar engineering? Welcome to Armchair Archaeology. Today, we're diving deep into the extraordinary role of the sun in shaping ancient societies. From Egypt to the Americas, we'll explore how cultures used the sun to organize time, plan their cities, and structure their religious beliefs. And stay with us until the end, because we'll reveal recent discoveries suggesting that ancient civilizations might have been even more advanced in their understanding of the cosmos than we ever imagined. If you love uncovering the mysteries of ancient civilizations, make sure to subscribe to Armchair Archaeology and hit the notification bell. That way, you'll never miss an episode as we dive deeper into the secrets of the past. In the ancient world, the sun wasn't just a celestial body, it was divine. Nearly every major civilization worshipped a solar deity, believing that the sun wasn't just a giver of light, but a ruler of life and death itself. Its daily journey across the sky was seen as a cosmic battle, and its return each morning was a victory that needed to be honored, celebrated, or even, if necessary, secured through sacrifice. In Egypt, the sun god Ra was the supreme deity, sailing across the sky by day and descending into the underworld at night to battle the forces of chaos. The pharaohs claimed to be his earthly representatives, using his divine power to legitimize their rule. Meanwhile, in Mesoamerica, the Aztecs worshipped Huitzilopochtli, a warlike sun god who was always hungry. His demand? Human blood. Without it, the sun would fail to rise, and darkness would consume the world. They believed that if they failed to feed him, the sun would cease to rise, plunging the world into eternal darkness. The Greeks, too, saw the sun as divine, picturing it as a blazing chariot racing across the heavens, driven by the mighty Helios. Over time, this vision evolved, and the sun became linked to Apollo, the god of prophecy, music, and healing, symbolizing wisdom and life itself. But as Greek mythology developed, his identity merged with Apollo, god of prophecy, music, and healing, symbolizing the idea that sunlight was not just powerful, but also a source of wisdom and life. Across the world, civilizations linked the sun to kingship, justice, and cosmic order. The Hindus worshipped Surya, the all-seeing sun god, while in China, the emperor himself was seen as the earthly embodiment of the sun's power. Even in Norse mythology, the sun was personified as Sol, a goddess pursued by a wolf that would one day devour her in Ragnarok, the end of the world. The sun wasn't just an object in the sky, it was the ultimate force, shaping everything from religion to rulership, from myths to monarchs. Are you fascinated by how ancient civilizations saw the cosmos? You'll love our new ebook, Secrets of the Ancient World. It dives into lost civilizations, forgotten gods, and the mysteries of the past. You can find the link in the pinned comment. The sun didn't just inspire gods, it dictated the rhythms of life. To ancient civilizations, the sun's cycles weren't just natural occurrences, they were divine events that needed to be honored through rituals, festivals, and grand ceremonies. These traditions didn't just celebrate the sun, they were seen as essential acts to ensure its continued rise, the success of crops, and the balance of the cosmos itself. One of the most spectacular sun festivals was the Inti Raymi of the Inca Empire. Every winter solstice, thousands of people gathered in Cusco, the heart of the empire, to honor Inti, the sun god. Priests performed elaborate ceremonies, golden offerings were placed before the sun, and animal sacrifices were made to secure a prosperous year. This tradition was so central to Inca culture that even today, a reenactment of Inti Raymi is still held in Cusco, drawing thousands of spectators. In Egypt, the connection between the pharaoh and the sun was reaffirmed during the Opet festival. This grand event, lasting several weeks, involved processions where statues of Amun-Ra were carried from Karnak to Luxor, symbolizing the divine renewal of the king's power. Meanwhile, across the Mediterranean, the Romans celebrated the Sol Invictus festival on December 25th, marking the rebirth of the unconquered sun, a tradition that later influenced the date chosen for Christmas. Perhaps the most mysterious solar ritual took place at Machu Picchu, where the Teotihuacán stone, known as the hitching post of the sun, tradition was believed to tie the sun to the earth. On certain days, the stone cast no shadow at all, marking key points in the Inca calendar. These rituals weren't just celebrations, they were acts of devotion, ensuring that the cosmic order remained intact, the seasons stayed in balance, and the sun, the great giver of life, would always return. The sun wasn't just worshipped in temples, it was woven into the very fabric of ancient societies through symbols, art, and royal iconography. Across civilizations, solar imagery represented power, divinity, and the cycle of life and death, reinforcing the idea that the sun was far more than just a source of light. It was a cosmic force that dictated kingship, justice, and the very structure of the universe. In ancient Egypt, the solar disk was one of the most sacred images, often depicted above pharaohs to symbolize their divine connection to Ra. During the reign of Akhenaten, the sun god Aten became the sole deity of a radical new monotheistic religion. He was represented as a radiant sun disk with outstretched hands, offering life to the people. This shift was so controversial that after Akhenaten's death, Egypt swiftly abandoned Aten worship and returned to its traditional pantheon. Meanwhile, in Mesopotamia, the sun was associated with Shamash, the god of justice. His solar emblem, a starburst with wavy rays, symbolized his all-seeing power, an idea that would later influence the depiction of divine light in many cultures. In Greece and Rome, the solar crown, a radiant halo of light, was used to signify divinely chosen rulers, from Alexander the Great to the emperors of Rome. This imagery didn't disappear with the fall of Rome. In fact, it was later adopted into Christian art, where it became the golden halo that still appears around saints and holy figures today. The Aztecs also carved the sun's power into stone, creating the massive stone of the sun, often mistaken for a calendar, but actually a sacred representation of cosmic cycles, war, and sacrifice. Even today, echoes of these ancient symbols remain. Many modern national flags incorporate sun imagery, a lasting testament to humanity's enduring reverence for the celestial force that has ruled our skies for millennia. Long before mechanical clocks and artificial lighting, daily life was ruled by the rising and setting of the sun. Ancient civilizations didn't just observe the sun's rhythm. They structured their work, social lives, and religious practices around it. From farmers in the fields to rulers in their palaces, The sun's position dictated when people woke, worked, rested, and worshipped. Agriculture, the foundation of civilization, depended entirely on the sun's predictable cycle. In ancient Egypt, farmers watched the sun's movement to anticipate the annual flooding of the Nile, which renewed the soil and marked the start of the planting season. In Mesopotamia, where irrigation was crucial, farmers learned to track solar patterns to determine when to divert water to their fields. Meanwhile, in Rome, agricultural texts emphasized the importance of sowing and harvesting crops based on the sun's angle. Vineyards, for instance, were placed on sun-facing slopes to optimize grape ripening. In urban centers, the sun structured daily activities. Roman markets opened at dawn and closed by midday to avoid the scorching afternoon heat, while gladiator games and public gatherings were often scheduled for the cooler hours of early morning or evening. In ancient Greece, courts of law only operated in daylight, reinforcing the symbolic link between sunlight and truth. Even the earliest labor laws were tied to the sun. Egyptian pyramid workers were given midday breaks, an early version of the siesta, to avoid working in extreme heat. But beyond the practical, the sun's rhythm held a deeper meaning. Many cultures saw dawn as a symbol of birth, midday as the peak of power, and sunset as a descent into the underworld. The sun didn't just tell people when to wake up or work, it framed their entire understanding of life itself. The sun wasn't just a guide for daily routines, it was humanity's first and most reliable clock. Long before mechanical timepieces, civilizations tracked the sun's movements to measure hours, mark seasons, and even predict celestial events. Mastering solar timekeeping wasn't just about convenience. It was essential for agriculture, governance, and religious ceremonies. One of the earliest methods of timekeeping was the sundial, first used by the Egyptians over 3,500 years ago. These devices measured the shadow cast by an upright stick, dividing the day into segments. The Babylonians, skilled astronomers, took time measurement even further, dividing both day and night into 12 equal parts, laying the foundation for the 24-hour system we still use today. However, their hours weren't always the same length. Summer hours were longer, and winter hours were shorter, since they were based on the sun's movement rather than a fixed system. Beyond daily timekeeping, entire calendars were based on the sun. The Mayan Harb calendar, a 365-day solar cycle, was one of the most advanced of the ancient world, deviating from today's Gregorian calendar by only a fraction of a day per year. Meanwhile, the Egyptians developed a 12-month solar calendar, adjusting it with an extra 5 days at the end of the year, an early version of a leap year system. These solar calendars helped civilizations schedule planting and harvests, organize festivals, and even determine the fates of rulers. Perhaps the most impressive solar timekeepers were monuments built to track celestial events. Stonehenge, aligned with the summer solstice sunrise, an Abu symbol where sunlight illuminates its inner sanctuary only twice a year, weren't just places of worship. They were ancient observatories that connected human civilization to the cosmos. The sun didn't just measure time, it defined how ancient societies structured their world. And remarkably, much of what they created still influences how we measure time today. If you're enjoying this deep dive into ancient solar mysteries, consider supporting the channel with a super thanks. It helps us keep exploring history's greatest secrets and bringing them straight to you. Ancient architects didn't just build for beauty or function, they designed their greatest monuments in alignment with the sun. From towering pyramids to mysterious stone circles, these structures were giant solar calendars, tracking the sun's movement with astonishing precision. Whether for religious, agricultural, or political purposes, these solar-aligned buildings connected human civilization to the cosmos. One of the most famous examples is Stonehenge, built over 4,500 years ago in England. Its massive stones were positioned so that, on the summer solstice, the rising sun aligns perfectly with its central axis. Thousands of people still gather there every year to witness this ancient astronomical event, just as people likely did thousands of years ago. In Egypt, the sun played a major role in architecture. The Great Pyramid of Giza is nearly perfectly aligned with the cardinal directions, reflecting an advanced understanding of astronomy. But even more remarkable is the Temple of Abu Simbel. Twice a year, on what are believed to be key dates in Pharaoh Ramses II's reign, the rising sun illuminates the temple's inner sanctum, lighting up statues of the gods. This means the entire temple was carved with such precision that the sun's rays hit the exact same spot only 2 days per year. The Maya took solar-aligned architecture to an entirely different level. At El Castillo, the pyramid at Chichen Itza, an incredible solar illusion happens during the spring and autumn equinoxes. As the sun sets, the play of light and shadow creates the image of a serpent slithering down the pyramid's staircase, a direct tribute to the feathered serpent god, Kukulkan. Even today, architects use similar solar principles in sustainable building design, positioning structures to maximize natural light and reduce energy consumption. The ancients didn't just worship the sun, they mastered it, leaving behind monuments that still captivate and inspire us today. What do you think? How did ancient civilizations achieve such precise solar alignments without modern technology? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your theories. For ancient civilizations, the sun wasn't just a source of warmth, it was the foundation of survival. Without sunlight, crops wouldn't grow, seasons wouldn't change, and entire societies would collapse. Understanding and harnessing the sun's power was crucial, not just for agriculture, but also for medicine, city planning, and even spiritual well-being. Ancient farmers mastered the art of using sunlight to their advantage. In Egypt, the annual flooding of the Nile replenished farmland, but the sun determined when and where crops thrived. Egyptian farmers positioned fields to maximize sun exposure, ensuring a steady food supply. In Mesopotamia, where drought was a constant threat, people developed sun-drying techniques to preserve grains for seasons when harvests were low. The Chinese, too, recognized the sun's role in agriculture, aligning their farming calendar with solar cycles to determine the best planting times. The Romans took things a step further, pioneering early greenhouse technology. By using transparent stone sheets to trap sunlight, they created artificial warm environments for exotic plants like cucumbers, an innovation that foreshadowed modern agriculture. Meanwhile, the Inca built tiered terraces on mountainsides to capture the sun's heat, allowing crops to thrive even at high altitudes. Beyond agriculture, the sun was tied to health and spirituality. The Greeks and Romans believed sunlight had healing properties, and physicians prescribed sunbathing as a remedy for various illnesses. In Hindu tradition, Surya Namaskar, the sun salutation, became both a physical and spiritual practice, reinforcing the idea that sunlight was essential for both body and soul. Today, our relationship with the sun continues to evolve. Solar farms are revolutionizing energy, and modern medicine confirms what the ancients suspected. Sunlight plays a crucial role in human health. Though technology has changed, the sun remains as vital to civilization as it was thousands of years ago. Ancient knowledge goes beyond just farming. Many civilizations had medical and technological advancements that still amaze us today. Want to explore more? Check out our ebook, Secrets of the Ancient World. The link is in the pinned comment. Long before weather forecasts and satellite tracking, ancient farmers looked to the sky for guidance. The sun wasn't just a source of light, it was their most reliable tool for survival. Its cycles dictated when to plant, when to harvest, and when to prepare for the harshest seasons. Understanding these patterns meant the difference between abundance and famine. The Egyptians closely observed the sun's relationship with the Nile River. They noticed that the river's annual flooding, which enriched the soil with fertile silt, coincided with the rising of Sirius, the brightest star in the sky. This signaled the start of their agricultural calendar, allowing them to plant crops at exactly the right time each year. Meanwhile, in Mesopotamia, where farmers relied on irrigation rather than flooding, the sun's movement dictated when to open and close canals, preventing soil from drying out or becoming oversaturated. The Maya's solar calendar was incredibly advanced, so accurate it was only a fraction of a day off from today's modern calendar. By tracking the sun's movement with incredible accuracy, they determined the best times to plant maize, their most vital crop. Even the placement of farmland was influenced by the sun. Greek and Roman farmers carefully positioned their vineyards on sun-facing slopes to ensure the best grape production, a technique still used in winemaking today. The Inca built terraced farms that followed the sun's path, allowing crops to thrive at high altitudes. This deep connection between farming and the sun hasn't disappeared. Modern farmers still rely on solar-based planting techniques, and today, solar-powered irrigation systems are helping sustain crops in regions where water is scarce. The ancients may not have had satellites or modern weather forecasting, but their understanding of the sun's influence on farming remains just as relevant today. The sun gives life, but too much of it can be just as dangerous as too little. Ancient civilizations had to find ways to harness the sun's power for agriculture while protecting their crops from drought. This led to some of the most impressive irrigation systems in history, many of which were designed with the sun's cycles in mind. In Mesopotamia, one of the earliest cradles of civilization, farmers built an intricate network of canals and reservoirs to channel water from the Tigris and Euphrates rivers. These systems allowed them to store water during dry seasons and release it when the sun was at its most intense. However, over-irrigation caused a major problem: soil salinization, where too much water left behind mineral deposits that reduced crop fertility. To counteract this, Mesopotamians carefully rotated fields and controlled irrigation timing to protect the land. The Egyptians, whose civilization depended entirely on the Nile, perfected basin irrigation. They directed floodwaters into enclosed fields, allowing the soil to absorb moisture before the excess drained away. This method, aligned with the sun's seasonal patterns, ensured crops had water even during Egypt's hottest months. To lift water more efficiently, they invented the shaduf, a counterweight lever system that allowed farmers to move water with ease. Meanwhile, in Persia, modern Iran, engineers developed one of the most advanced ancient irrigation systems, the Qanat. This underground network of tunnels transported water from distant mountains to arid farmlands while preventing evaporation under the scorching sun. Some qanats are still in use today, proving the effectiveness of this technique. Even in the Americas, civilizations like the Hohokam in present-day Arizona built vast canal systems that stretched for miles, allowing agriculture to thrive in desert conditions. Today, as climate change increases the risk of drought, many modern irrigation techniques are inspired by ancient methods. From solar-powered water pumps to underground irrigation channels, we are once again looking to the past for solutions to sustain agriculture in a changing world. The sun didn't just shape temples and farms, it influenced entire cities. Many ancient civilizations designed their urban centers with precise solar alignments, ensuring that important buildings, streets, and public spaces interacted with the movements of the sun. These alignments weren't just symbolic, they reinforced religious beliefs, marked seasonal changes, and even helped organize daily life. One of the most striking examples is Teotihuacán, the great Mesoamerican city built over 2,000 years ago in present-day Mexico. The entire city was designed according to solar principles, with its central Avenue of the Dead aligned to match the rising sun on certain key dates. The Pyramid of the Sun, one of its largest structures, was placed so that on specific days, sunlight illuminated its staircases in a way that likely held ritual significance. Modern archaeologists still debate how the builders achieved such precision without advanced instruments. Some believe they used horizon-based astronomy, tracking the sun's rising and setting points to plan their city. In Inca Cusco, urban design was also heavily influenced by solar alignments. The city's main temple, Coricancha, was dedicated to Inti, the sun god, and its golden walls reflected sunlight in dazzling displays. The entire layout of Cusco was planned so that during solstices and equinoxes, the sun's rays would pass through key temple windows, reinforcing the Inca belief that their ruler was a direct descendant of the sun. The Incas even built solar observatories, such as the one at Machu Picchu, to track the sun's position throughout the year. Meanwhile, in ancient China, the Forbidden City in Beijing was designed with solar principles in mind, following a strict north-south axis that symbolized the emperor's connection to the heavens. These carefully planned cities weren't just places to live, they were cosmological statements, ensuring that the rhythms of human civilization remained in harmony with the celestial order. From ancient pyramids to entire cities, from religious rituals to agriculture, the sun shaped every aspect of life in the ancient world. It wasn't just a source of light. It was a god, a timekeeper, and the foundation of civilization itself. Rulers claimed divine power from it. Farmers depended on it, and architects designed their greatest monuments in perfect alignment with its movements. But what's truly astonishing is that despite all our modern advancements, some ancient solar alignments remain so precise that even today, they challenge our understanding of early engineering. Teotihuacán, with its Avenue of the Dead and Pyramid of the Sun perfectly aligned to key solar events, is one of the most famous examples. But recent discoveries suggest this wasn't unique. Satellite imagery has revealed that ancient sites across the world, from China to Peru, share similar solar precision. Did these civilizations independently discover the same techniques, or was their understanding of the cosmos far greater than we once believed? Even in the modern world, our connection to the sun remains strong. Solar energy is revolutionizing how we power our cities, and ancient sun-related traditions like solstice festivals are still celebrated worldwide. The ancients may not have fully understood what the sun was, but they knew one thing for certain. Without it, life itself would be impossible. So as we unlock the secrets of the past, maybe the question isn't just what the ancients knew, but what we've forgotten. What do you think? Were they more connected to the cosmos than we are today? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this journey through history, don't forget to like this video, subscribe to Armchair Archaeology, and hit the notification bell so you never miss an episode. Want to dive even deeper into the mysteries of lost civilizations? Our ebook, Secrets of the Ancient World, is packed with fascinating discoveries, from forgotten technologies to unsolved enigmas. Get your copy now from the pinned comment. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep the flame of curiosity burning bright.